You throw a sardine in, within 3 seconds, you get in a bite. Within 10 seconds after that, your fish has landed. And then what nice size shad.
Winter bass fishing is usually on the slow, but on the upside, there have been some fish coming out of Midmar and some private local waters, while Inlander Dam remains the current jewel in the local bass crown.
There you go, buddy. Hit that, hit now!
This is the Angler News SA podcast. I'm Vanessa Green.
Hey, hello angling family. All right, what a week, not just in KZN, but nationally, because Angler News SA, the podcast you love, the one you are listening to right now, has been nominated for a National Bookmark Award for the top podcast in South Africa, and that includes the best audio content. So out of 100 entries, we are in the top 3 finalists, and I would just love to say thank you. Thank you so much for hitting that play button, for tuning in, for listening, for following, for being loyal to our show. Guys, we could have not done this without you. We are a team, our team of reporters, and you are part of that team by, tuning in and keeping us inspired and motivated to reach these milestones. So once again, huge shout out to you. Thank you so much. It is absolutely remarkable to be nominated, and yeah, we're crossing fingers, cross fingers for us. That's going to happen on the 13th of August. All right, now let's get into the show. Let's get into what you are here for, and that is the fishing news. So we've got sardines that has come through in a massive way, and with that, there has been a plethora of fish. We are talking kingfish, we're talking Garrick, we're talking snoek, we're talking a ridiculous amount of shad. All right, now, when we are talking sharks, guys, you got to remember, there was jig and drop going on. The guys jig the sardine, going on frisky, gets taxed by the shark. Whew, there has been some big shark out there. In fact, none of those sharks around amongst those sardine balls has been landed. However, outside of that, there's been a lot of fish. We are talking about the snoek back. We are talking about the bottom fishing going wild. We are talking about the mad shad run all along the coastline, more so down the south coast. Margate Pier is going absolutely bonkers with the shad out there this past week. As for all the other species, well, here's an interesting one. An interesting way of how to catch Garrick. Is it going to work? Well, Richard is going to tell us all about it. He's trying this technique into Gala, and I found it quite interesting. I thought it's worth a share to you guys as well. And apart from that, the trout action, the bass action, Midlands is firing. And of course, it is time for a big shad competition. So with that being said,
get ready for the biggest shad fishing event of 2026. Join the Photon and Kingfisher Shad Fishing Competition running from 14 to 31st August. With an incredible 85,000 Rand prize pool, you could win 60,000 Rand for first place, 15,000 for second, and 10,000 Rand for third. Entry is only 250 Rand, and entries are open now. Don't let someone else reel in your fortune. Rig up, bring your A game, and make every cast count. Visit kingfisher.co.za, photonsa.co.za, or any of our 8 Kingfisher branches to get your tickets today. The 2026 Photon and Kingfisher Shad Fishing Competition. Gear up, cast out, win big.
Thank you, the Kingfisher. Guys, what an event. It's going to be absolutely epic. It's joined with Photon. You know what? These are 2 brands that I love. I drive the Photon. I'm a Kingfisher. It is absolutely going to be lit. Make sure to go and get your tickets. 85,000 Rand in cash to give away, 60 grand for a shad. How can you not? Oh, absolutely amazing. Speaking of that shad, Mike V's got a lot of action. The shad is included in that. Let's find out what's happening in Durban, my hometown, with Mike V and Brad Krobler.
How's it, guys? Yes, the sardines have played the game. They've popped up again. They have been wild all over the place. But the sea hasn't played the game. The guys have been trying to get at them. There have been some nice fish hooked. A couple Garrick, a couple snoek, some big fish lost on jig and drop, things like that. But the big sea is making it very difficult. And yeah, the Durban North beaches, all that have been pretty much unfishable with the big sea around. So the guys have been traveling, bronze bream, cob, all that sort of fishing. When the sea does settle, there have been some nice catches of shad. Actually, a lot of shad on the Durban North beaches, a couple of grey sharks in the mix, and the odd diamond, but yeah, it's not looking good for the next few days either. He's meant to be sitting at about 2 meters, so definitely bronze bream and that sort of fishing. On the paddle ski and ski boat side, the guys that have been launching have been doing very well. Bottoms, again, has been the player of the game. They've been getting a lot of keelback, a lot of darger, rock cod slingers, all that sort of stuff. But the oaks persevering and trying, beginning the odd couta here and there, some Garrick on the live bait, some snoek here and there. So yeah, always going out and having a go at it. Durban Bay, lots of grunter, from just size, undersized, to size, to one or two good ones in the mix. A couple of small cob in the mix there as well, and some snappers. It's very quiet, not really their time of year, spring as well. They should pop up like mid-October again. So yeah, let's hope they're rough. Guys, thank you very much. This is Mike V for NSA News.
Good day, guys. Brad here, Linsky Fishing Charters. Guys, the fishing report for the Durban ski boat area. Guys, the snook seem to have come back again over the last couple of days. Still a lot of garfish, which is giving you hell. You've got to spend a lot of time with your baits in the water to get snook in. On the bottom side, yeah, guys, some really good bottom fishing this week, especially some really good rock rods, some nice cat faces, all in that 6 to 8 kilogram range. Keelbeck have now started to show their abundances more all over the place, especially off the bluff ledges area. Out in the very deep, there's been a couple of copper stem brusses. Yeah, so guys, yeah, fishing has been pretty good at this last week. And with the sardines coming, should be improving. This was with some gamefish and some tuna around. But yeah, guys, this is Brad, Agrivi South Africa, and Tuck Lines, and speak to you guys on next week.
Thank you, Mike and Brad. What a good start to the show. Very inspiring. Lots of catches coming out. Glad to hear the snook are back. Amongst that snook, just like, our cover angler is the snook. There's a lot of Garrick out there as well. I mean, the guy's been catching Garrick off the ski boats all week long. Absolutely love it. And nothing wrong with that bottom fish in action. I'm glad to hear about that keelback and the darga salmon. It is winter, it is expected, and it has delivered. All right, so that's Durban. Now let's find out what's happening up on the North Coast. We are with Michaela Daniels, who's always got a fantastic report for us. This is what she has to say.
What's up, everyone? This is Michaela from Durban, reporting for Angling News SA. It's been another awesome week of fishing along our coastline and kicking things off for Blue Lagoon, with some lovely size shad and grunter coming out of the bricks. While for the guys on the North Bank, there's still quite a few cob around. Moving on to Beechwood, there's still a few shad on the bites as well as a couple of stumpies. While Virginia, the shad is still coming out as well as a couple of grunter and some diamond rays. For the Mhlanga anglers, there's still a few shad and stumpies coming out, but it's mainly still rays on the bites. For the offshore side of things, Durban is still producing some lovely snook and Garrick, while the deep is still producing the odd yellowfin tuna and wahoo. For the bottom side of things, there's still lovely darga and geelbeck coming out, as well as the usual reds and rockards. While for Mfloti, there's still some nice couta and snook coming out, while the deep is also still producing a few yellowfin tuna. For the bottoms, the guys are still getting into some lovely darga, rockard, geelbeck, and a couple of amberjacks. Moving right up the coast to Belito, there's still shad and stumpies coming out, with the odd cob too, while for St. Lucia, the shad is still coming out, as well as a few kingies and some rockard. While for the offshore side, Belito is still producing snook and couta, as well as a couple of Garrick. For St. Lucia, there's still lovely snook, couta, and yellowfin tuna coming out, as well as a couple of wahoo too. That's going to be it from me for this week, guys. Tight lines and have a great one.
Thank you, Michaela. Absolutely love that content you've been bringing through. You know what? We're all hearing about the fish down the South Coast, the sardines down the South Coast. Hey, we're going to get there in a bit. Right now, with all that species up on the North Coast, it is sounding absolutely fantastic to be up there. Now, another area on the North Coast, as always, we got to get together with my man, Richard. Richard has got a very interesting snippet that he would like to share with us. This is what it's all about.
Hi from the Botter Ski Boat Club at Tugela Mouth. This week's fishing report is slightly different, as the update is quite simply Garrick on live mullet, salmon on sardines and chocker-cocked, and good grunter from the mouth. I'm British, did most of my sea fishing either from cliff faces over rocks or from piers and jetties. I also was a keen pike fisherman in rivers and lakes, often to catch predatory fish like the aforementioned pike, but also garfish at sea, large sea bass and John Dory. We would use a large sea float and live bait such as a jerry mackerel, great sand eel or a small harbour mullet. So, my ambition, my target, my objective is to catch a Garrick using a UK sea float rig and a leaf mullet attached using a size 5.0 J-hook and a treble. At Tugela Mouth, just behind the fast water in the lagoons, I've witnessed many daily mullet chases. My South African fishing friends, The locals and respected regular Indian fishermen from Stanger and Richards Bay think I'm absolutely crazy and stand no chance. So what do you think? I'll keep you updated as to how it's going over the Garrick season. And if you visit Together Mouth, come across a fat bull man with a funny accent who is using a great big fishing float, then come say hi.
All right. Now that is absolutely interesting, Richard. Please, you know what? Please let us know if that method works. I would love to know if that method works. All right. You're always out to try new things. And you know what? Trying something out of Britain. Well, you know what? Hey, Richard, thanks for sharing us that content from Britain. I always wondered. I mean, you know, you see the stuff on YouTube, you see it on telly, and you always wonder, yeah, okay, someone really actually doing that, you know? And hey, we got our local guy at Tugela doing that. And actually even applying that here. All right, so that's very interesting. Now, more interesting news that's coming out of the Midlands. We are with Jan. He's got some updates about the foot and mouth disease, as well as some serious trout action, and of course, sharing some bass news with us. But before we get into that, guys, just a quick announcement. While we were on Tugela, guys, there is the Addicted Angling Fishing Competition. This is also happening at Tugela North Bank in the main car park. Guys, that's happening on the 1st of August. However, there is early bird entry. All right. Now, they've got prizes up to 25 grand, and you get a chance to fish at Tugela. You get a chance to meet Richard, as well as the rest of the crew from Addicted Anglers. It's a pretty cool competition happening out there. So, you know what? Check it out on their socials, right? I'm sure it's under Addicted Angling, all right, or Addicted Anglers. And yeah, it's definitely worth going out there and fishing together. You know the fish are coming out there. It's going to be absolutely epic. And the party is going on till late at night. So Tugela North Bank, Tugela, it is absolutely happening. All right, so back now to the Midlands.
Hey there, guys. So the Midlands has been under a spell of mild weather recently. And some would say that it's even been too nice. But a little bit more on that later. And so before we reach a state of complacency, bear in mind that some of the worst winter weather, or quote-unquote best, depending on one's view of snow and ice, has previously pitched up in September, when it's supposedly spring, but Madam Winter has put her foot back in the door before being totally shut out. This weekend sees a dip in temperatures, with mornings in the low single figures and getting up to mid-teens around midday, as a result of the current forecast showing that there might be some light snow up top. With the trout stream still closed for the next 6 weeks, for those anglers targeting the moving waters, yellowfish or scaly are your primary target. But for those brave enough and having the necessary tackle, sometimes that is, to back it up, the notorious tackle-busting whiskered mermaid will certainly assuage the need for that bend in the stick, whatever flavor of rod you might be fishing. And having been on the receiving end of one of these, guys, I will leave them up to you. You can have them. The recent outage experienced by the Natal Fly Fishers Club website has resulted in limited news coming from the NFFC waters. From the few returns on hand, there have been a few good fish that have come to the net. Flies that have produced fish are damselfly nymph and the so-called egg patterns or brightly colored blob. The issue of the NFFC website is set to be resolved shortly, and online forms have been created in the meantime for the process of booking and submitting returns. But if required, please contact the Secretary or Chairman directly for further assistance that may be required. Last weekend saw leg 3 of the Tops Corporate Challenge taking place in the waters in and around Nottingham Road. And with a total of only 189 fish reported by 14 teams, fishing was decidedly tough in the cold, crystal clear waters. And as the comments were, with the weather being too nice, alongside a plummeting barometer, resulting in dead, flat, calm conditions and requiring some technical skills to entice the wily trout. There were hatches of caddis and midge, and small dry flies, or a dry and a small midge dropper was the name of the game. The water quality issues at Albert Falls have gained traction, with a damning report from Mgani Water, documenting wastewater feeding into the dam and further fueling the Save Albert Falls campaign. Winter bass fishing is usually on the slow, but on the upside, there have been some fish coming out of Midmar and some private local waters, while Inanda Dam remains the current jewel in the local bass crown. Guys, do stop in the Kingfisher Maritzburg for the best in tackle advice. And this is Jan Korabal reporting for Kingfisher Maritzburg and for Anglo News South Africa.
Jan, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much for that. Such a great detailed report. You are certainly a master of your craft. Wow. Okay, great tips, great advice, great inspiration, and certainly seems as though the bass are there. We just have to go and find them. You know, I love winter bass fishing. You don't get as many fish, but you get that serious quality fish, and that's exactly what's being delivered. Looks like another dam is, sounding like it's on the cards this weekend. Let's see what happens. Now, what is happening down the south coast? Let's head on back down there. Let's start off in the middle of the south coast. We are with Ray Thompson, and he's got some news for us.
For the last 2 days, there seems to be a little bit of action with sardines. And of course, with the sardines come the shad. So shad are starting to feed all the way up until the bluff. There's been quite a few on the bluff. Toti, Inyoni, Winkel are throwing a few shad, all the way down to Umkamas, which was on fire. So guys, go out there, have some fun, and go and fish for the shad, because that's what you're going to catch in the next couple of days.
All right, Ray. Shad. Guys, I can testify to that. I fished the mid-south coast this past weekend, and it was shad, shot for shot. Ashvir and I were out there. My brother Ashvir from Angler Fishing Gear, we were out there, and it was going on shot for shot. I mean, like literally, you throw a sardine in, within 3 seconds, you get in a bite. Within 10 seconds after that, your fish has landed. And they were nice size shad. I think our smallest one was like 35 centimeters. Our biggest was around 47 centimeters. So they were pretty decent sized fish. Glad to know the other anglers we saw out there, they were releasing their catches. So absolutely great adverts out there out of KZN with the guys respecting those bag and size limits. Now, where the shad was going bonkers, where the other species were going bonkers, it has been on the lower south coast. So let's dive right into there with our south coast guru, Adam Lyon.
Hey, Banesh and all the listeners on East Coast Radio. I hope everybody's had a beautiful week. Now, in terms of fishing, well, where are the sardines? Again, we have to hunt and hunt for these little silver blue fish. But in terms of shad, we do know where they are because they are down on the south coast. It's almost becoming a bit of a staple like bread or rice, Vanesh. The shad are down on the south coast. And Margaret Pier again producing Garrick and a lovely yellowtail by Blake. So awesome to see that. We've also had a couple of kingies and a bit of cob and some snook off the boat. So yes, south coast finish once again. In terms of non-eds, we've had a couple of hammers, a couple of greys, particularly down in the Port Edward Splash Rock area, and Darby getting himself a beast a little bit further south. But we are all holding out for where these sardines are, because we know that the greatest shoal on earth will definitely bring gamefish and non-eds with it. If that is going to be this week or next week or the week after, we don't know, because if we did, trust me, Vanesh, we would not be having this conversation. Now, we know that the school holidays are over. However, fishing never takes a break, especially down on the south coast. So if anybody is looking for a fish or something to do for this up and coming weekend, come to the south. Yes, the swell's been big. However, the guys have been landing fish. And even just fishing in the gullies, I guarantee you are going to be getting a So guys, let's see what happens. We're not too sure what's happening with the sards, but we know that there is fish down south. Otherwise, guys, take care, stay safe, tight lines, and let's see those catches. See you all on the next one.
Adam, you are an absolute superstar and a half. What a report. Such a great advocate for the South Coast, the lower South Coast. I was chatting to Adam. I called him up randomly, and he was on the Margate Pier, checking those sardines come around, watching that kingfish getting landed, watching all that shad action. He is really got his ears on the ground, hands in the, on the rod, I assume. Adam is so involved. Just like the rest of our reporters, they really making sure they're getting us the freshest content. And I guess that's what makes Angler News SA so relevant on a weekly basis. Like, how can you go fishing without listening to the show, right? Pardon the bragging over there. I'm just so proud. It's such a great week for us to be nominated. And Angler News has got out there, and it's because you guys are listening to us and our reporters are getting you onto the fish. That's what it's about. Now, speaking about getting onto the fish, I'd love to know in the comments where you plan on fishing this weekend with all these catches coming out on the North Coast, on the Midlands, the competition happening at Tugela in a week's time, the Garrick that is coming out offshore, the bottom fishing, the sardines sniffing about, coming through in big shoals on some days, small shoals on the other days, the shad all over the coastline. Where are you fishing? So, with that being said, wherever you are fishing, make sure to keep it tidy, respect your bag and size limits, And until the next one.
This is the Angler News SA podcast. I'm Vanessa Green. Find more episodes at ecr.co.za under podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Let's fish for the future.